campsite set up on the riverbank. This is why we do it. This is it. Everything we do in four-wheel driving and overlanding, at the end of the day, this is the reward. And it's worth every toll, every roadblock, every flat, every, you name it.
Good night's sleep. It poured with rain all night. It's early September, and September for the rains is very early. And as you can see, the ground around me, it poured, it really, the whole night. We were in tented accommodation. We basically just pulled off the road. We're about less than an hour from the Botswana border, and a comfortable night, and the vehicle is finally done. After all of that effort, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But we've got a fantastic piece of kit. I present to you the Isuzu 3-litre turbo diesel double cab four-wheel drive. It has part-time four-wheel drive. It has electronic four-wheel drive engagement system, electric rear differential lock. I have easy on tent at the top, a easy on roof rack, Bush Tech canopy, BF Goodrich tires, and that's it. Inside, I'll show you later, I've kept it pretty simple. We've got convenience, but I haven't gone mad, and I've got a simple fridge in the back. So there it is, our companion for the next 4 weeks as we head into Zambia and Malawi. I'm Andrew St. Pierre White. Join me as I share my passion for building four-wheel drive trucks and then travelling to the remotest parts of the world. These videos are made possible by contributions from Patreons. Join the Patreon family now. My daughter Kate is travelling with me. She was with me last year, if you remember, when I was doing my final Africa trip in my great green Land Cruiser. Hi. Day one, we're in Botswana. We decided to go through Botswana and not Zimbabwe because of all of the hassles in Zimbabwe. And at the moment we are in wonderful Botswana, driving north from the town of Nata, which is in the middle of the country, and heading to Kasane. Now here's the wonderful thing. As we head north, sun setting to our west, we're heading into kind of no man's land because, well, between here, where we are, and our destination where we actually cross over to Zambia, a place called Kasangula, there really are no places to camp. 300 to Kasangula, okay, yeah. Well, we've done 20, that makes sense. So we're going to wild camp tonight, and this particular road is one of those few roads left in Africa where you can actually find wild animals roaming freely. So what we're going to do is we've looked on the map and we figured that on the latitude of 19 degrees, was 15 minutes, there are two roads off to the east, and we are going to try and find one of those roads, and they lead to a small pan, and it'll be our first overnight camp for our Zambia trip. One of the few places left on Earth, a public road, not a national park. Elephants. Amazing. Never get used to it. Seen it 100 times.
Gets better every time. A little bit stressful in that the coordinate we had, there was no road there, or if it was there, it's grown over and we could not find it. So now getting late, 10 to 6, sun going down, and the bush is very, very thick. I just want to get away from the road. We can wild camp anywhere, it's safe. And four-wheel drive to start with.
I've seen a suitable place. It's quite deep in the bush, where I think we will be far enough from the road and, with luck, out of sight of it.
I'm going to try and find our way through the bush, and while avoiding mapani stumps.
Mapani is the most common tree in this area and notorious. Branches go through tyres like a knife through hot butter.
This is actually quite pretty. I want to get away from the road a little further, and I see a place there. The beauty of Botswana is that you can do this. It's safe. It's not safe in most southern African countries. Northern Namibia, safe. Botswana, most of Botswana, it's safe. Oh wow, this is very pretty. I'm going to turn down here. There, I can park on the pan. It's a very, very small pan. Just make sure it's not muddy. There you go. Kate is taking charge of cinematographer she's going to be the chief cinematographer for this entire project. I'm going to direct her. And there's our tent. We haven't pitched the tent yet, so we're going to stop filming now because it's getting dark. But I can hear a car, but I can't see the lights. We're in a dip, which means we cannot be seen. Even our lights cannot be seen by passers on the road. So we are absolutely safe. I mean, we're safe anywhere, but we don't want to be disturbed. And there's elephant dung around, and hopefully there'll be some new elephant dung in the morning. Day 2, wild camping on the edge of the road. We pulled over last night. We were chasing the sun. We tried to find a particular coordinate where we saw on the map there was a road leading off into the bush where we could find a secluded place, and we couldn't find that point. Even though we had the coordinates, obviously the track hasn't been used in a while, and it's now overgrown and vanished. So we were chasing the light, and eventually we did find a clear patch in very heavy bush, and we actually found ourselves in this small pan. We're quite close to the road. Now this is the main road that goes from Francistown, Nata, up to a place called Kasangula. Kasangula is a unique point on the map where Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe and Zambia meet right in the middle of the river. And Kasangula is where we're going to cross, and it's where all these trucks cross into Zambia. And the reason why that so many trucks use this road is because the corruption in Zimbabwe is still very bad, particularly for truck drivers. They have to hand over money, hand over fist, all the way through Zimbabwe, so they just plain avoid it now. It's worth coming this route even though it's longer and slower. And there's the sun coming up over the bush. Isn't that magnificent? Okay, Kasangula Ferry, busy border post, managed to get through in about 40 minutes, wasn't too bad. There was an extra form I had to sign, not a problem. There's Zambia, we're about to leave. These ferries go across the Chobe River all the time. It doesn't cost a lot, and we left the shore within 5 minutes of boarding. We set sail. We're about to land on Zambia. A new and unfamiliar border procedure can be a bit intimidating. And Zambia, while having a reputation for friendly people, doesn't have a similar reputation for easy border crossings. As it turned out, it wasn't particularly easy, nor particularly terrible. It took a little over an hour,
so not too bad for this kind of crossing.
Right, we are at Victoria Falls on the Zambian side. Now, I've only ever been here once, and to be honest with you, I have very thin recollection of my visit here. I'm not sure why. I don't even have too many photographs, but anyway, this is Kate's very first visit to the Victoria Falls. I first came here when I was 7 years old. I've been here a few times. So what do you reckon about crossing that bridge then?
They call this Danger Point. It's my middle name.
They say don't look down. So I'm going to get this to do it for me. It's disappointing the amount of water coming down. 4 months ago, 5 months ago, virtually the entire line of rocks would be white with water. I can see some steam, if you like, over there, which means a lot more water is flowing over there. See if we can go and get a better view.
The truth is, though, it wasn't. Zambia is suffering its worst drought in 20 years. And since over 70% of Zambia's electricity is created by hydroelectric power, means that the average Zambian only gets electricity for 7 hours each day.
Interestingly though, that land over there is actually Zambia. We're on Zambia as well. This is the chasm and has a closed end. But that piece of land just over there, I could almost throw a stone at it, is Zimbabwe. This is Camp Nkwazi on the banks of the Zambezi River. It's day 3. I can't help whenever I come to lodges, and we're not staying at the lodge so much, we're camping, but I always remember how we used to run Delta Camp when Gwen and I ran it. Good morning. Ah, yes please. Thank you. And how we were so sensitive to the needs of guests and subtle things. Here, I would rather listen to the birds than the pumping water for the little reservoir. But instead, I've got the hum of that. We used to run it during the middle of the day when guests were sleeping and not doing bird listening things. Little things like that. Anyway, a very, very beautiful place. The biggest problem, of course, is to sort out the dieseline problem. I'm going to send Kate in there with this. Water doesn't really help, it just spreads it around. I was sleeping and I could smell dieseline the whole night, in amongst all the lion calls and the hippos, which made up for it. But I've got to try and get rid of the smell. I put on a dirty shirt in case I spill any diesel on me, and I'm going to decant all of this now into our tank. They even offer a cup of coffee to the campers that come down to the reception. It's quite nice. Border post yesterday. My advice to you, if you're going through Zambia, keep a cool head, especially if you're going through one of the larger border posts. I thought we were going through one of the smaller ones, Kasungula. It is one of the smaller ones, but it's one of the hectic ones. The ferry crossing cost 200 pula. The visas, 2 UK passport visas, there was 80 each, US dollars, double entry visas. We were then taken for quite a bit of money for a total of 5 different forms, and these were the forms. The Zambia Revenue Authority for temporary importation of the vehicle. This is the, I think this was a road tax form. Then there's a carbon tax form. Of course I had to have the vehicle registration. Then there's a district council tax form, and then this one, which is the insurance form. I actually had to cross the border, walk across the border to go and purchase this insurance. The total cost was, I guess, about I haven't actually counted the exact amount, about $350 to get through that border post. So an expensive morning, but Zambia, as you can see, is promising to be absolutely beautiful. Today we're heading up north, actually northwest, to some falls that have been described to me as, imagine Victoria Falls without all the tourists and without all the people trying to sell you curios. Well, those are the falls that we're going to today. Right now heading west to the Ngonye Falls, which are supposed to be spectacular, also part of the Zambezi, and the road is not what I expected. Now, it's so easy to get this wrong when estimating times. You know, you look up, yes, the road from A to B is tar. This road all the way to Liuwa Plains is tar. But this tar is actually slower than a good gravel road. So when calculating times, it's actually impossible to know, and it's wrong to assume that a tar road you will be able to maintain 80, 90 or 100 kilometers an hour. For the last hour and a half, we've probably been averaging about 40 kilometers an hour. Anyway, Ngonye Falls is supposed to be the second Victoria Falls, and in fact I've even read in Lonely Planet Guide, it's something like, imagine the Victoria Falls without all of the tourists. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
We're at Ngonye Falls reception, and it has a rather eclectic array of locally acquired ornaments. To get to the falls means a walk, and it turns out we have our own guide.
Well, it's 36 degrees and it looks like it's a bit of a walk, and the water level looks quite low here as well, which is no surprise. As we're getting a bit closer, the wow factor is getting larger. One thing though, it's quite a long walk. Take water. We didn't take water. We weren't told how long the walk is, so we didn't take water. Oh man, this is unbelievable. Why don't more people know about this?
Like Victoria Falls without the tourists, eh? I read this in the Lonely Planet Guide. A bigger overstatement I can't imagine. Ngonye Falls is about 300 kilometers upstream from Victoria Falls. I'm trying to imagine what these falls would be like if the water level was even at its normal level. Ngonye Falls has been formed by the same geological processes as Victoria, with cracks in the basalt being eroded to form the drop. Their height is only about 10 to 25 meters, but with a width comparable to Victoria.
There are in fact 7 separate waterfalls. Definitely worth the walk. Definitely you're going to need to carry water with you. It's not a particularly long walk, but at 36 degrees, it's quite a long walk. Worth coming here. It's the ideal spot if you're going up to Liuwa Plains from Livingstone. It's not quite halfway, but it's the perfect stop off and an amazing place.
I'm on my expedition to discover the beauty and majesty found in the remote Zambian bush. I'm travelling with my daughter Kate, and we've travelled from Livingstone and are now at the Ngonye Falls, about to head off for the fabled Liuwa Plains.
Well, the campsite. This is the community campsite at Ngonye Falls.
very peaceful. We're the only ones here. There's a chap that comes and fills the donkey boilers for you. Of course the water is cold. There is it's not a long drop toilet, a proper throne. Area here for preparing one's meals. Hey, what do you think of that, eh? Rustic. It's 7:30 and it's already starting to get warm. So I think another scorcher today.
This part of Zambia is sparsely populated and well into their dry season. Dust fills the air.
Right, the road to Liuwa Plains has turned quite bad. Speeds down from 70 kilometers an hour right down to 40 kilometers an hour or lower, crossing this bridge. So our drive, which I estimated would take 4 hours to Liuwa, is probably now going to take us at least 8. Anyway, very exciting country, part of Zambia that I've never been to before.
The route to Liuwa means crossing the Zambezi River 2 more times. And this means ponts.
Now waiting for the pont to cross the Zambezi, and the pont, I've been told, is not working. These people around here, about 4 other vehicles, I've been waiting for several hours for them to repair it. So I'm going to stand clear and just let them get on with it, and hopefully it won't take too long. In the meantime, we can listen to the local music. Yes.
The pontoon or
I want to take pictures.
pictures?
Yes.
Okay, 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
This man latched himself onto me for some reason. He's been drinking quite heavily and giving me permission to do various things like photograph things. So he's been a bit of a pain in the backside, actually. People like that, you have to be polite and courteously tell them to go away by just ignoring them. One shouldn't tell them to go away because then they'll be offended. But if you ignore them, it tends to work a little bit better. So right now, a lovely African scene, and very typical in many respects, really, because the pont is broken and still broken. Are you a fisherman?
Yeah, I'm a fisherman.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And then you sell your fish in the villages?
Yeah.
Okay. If we can't cross today, we've got a bit of a logistical headache because I'm at the point of no return when it comes to fuel. This is why you carry extra fuel when traveling in Africa. You need a contingency plan. And I'm at the edge of that. I'm at that point of no return in terms of how much fuel I've got in the vehicle. So if I can't cross here and get to Mongu, then I have to turn around and I can do nothing else but go back to the last town, which is just within the range of the fuel I've got in the vehicle. That's why you carry that extra little bit of fuel, because then it's just, you then have options. We'll see what happens in the next half hour and then decide what we do. Okay, looks like we're going. The motor on the pont roared to life and the cars now making their way down. I don't know how many cars can go on it, but I would say 2, maybe 3. Hello. Hello.
Passenger out, yeah?
Okay, passenger out. You're going to jump out like you did before?
It's for safety reasons that only drivers are permitted inside vehicles when embarking the pont. Again, for safety reasons, when climbing onto the pont, put your vehicle in 4-wheel drive and do the same when getting off. This prevents the unlikely but possible scenario where your one wheel's on the pont and your other wheels are stuck in the sand.
Sure. Okay, well, we're on.
There's one car behind us still coming on. Okay, he's going to park right where you are.
I must say I'm really impressed with Kate. I don't think she's ever been in this kind of environment before. We're crammed quite tightly onto the pont, lots of people around. She could easily be feeling really quite nervous and intimidated. She's clearly not.
Yeah. 150. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, the wise thing to do is wait, I think.
Bit of four-wheel drive stuff to get up the riverbank. This is what travel in Africa is all about. And scenes like that cost us an hour and a half, but man, I wouldn't have missed it. Hey, don't you think? I mean, really, that's what makes Africa travel amazing, because you never know what you're going to find around the next corner, riverbed, whatever. When I left England, I said I was going to Zambia, and the first thing was, is it safe there? It's safe. The people were smiling, and it's safe. It really is safe. It might feel very foreign. That's why it's so fantastic.
And of course, I was freaking out the whole time. My South African routes, the car's unlocked, everything's gonna get stolen. Just the whole time.
Roadworks everywhere. And the dust is terrible. And it looks like yet another pond. At this point on the maps, there's a bridge. And there it is. A long way away.
So yet another river crossing and yet another pond. Unexpected, not written on any of the maps, so it's going to take another hour or so. But what is amazing is they're actually building a road to Liuwa. My question is why? This would be an incredibly expensive road building project, because for the last at least 30 kilometers we've been driving through swamp, and they're building bridges over all the rivers and across all the swamps. It must be costing a small fortune, and not surprisingly done by the Chinese.
A group of South African contractors has asked Kate to take their picture. They're here installing water level measuring equipment all through Zambia. While these crossings do take a bit of time, they're a fantastic break from sitting behind the wheel. They're slow and give you enough time to take in the atmosphere.
Looks like we run aground. When I'm reversing the vehicles on the pond to get the nose in the air so that they can beach it, because they can't get ashore. There's too big a gap between the shore and the pond. My big worry now is time. We have it's 20 to 5. It's dark by 6, and we've got to try and make a campsite. I don't really want a wild camp. I'm going to try and find a campsite, and
Oh well, we'll see how it goes. This is the stresses of overland travel in Africa.
Well, we're at Kalabu and we didn't make the park in time because it's a long day, so we couldn't find a camping site. So now we've found this lovely lodge and it's rather interesting. So we'll just show you the room and the lovely health and safety. Oh, okay. I'm glad busy putting the bed in.
Putting the bed in.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine.
There was only one bed in the room, so they obliged us by adding another.
And we've got a TV.
Yeah.
What could be better? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, that'll be good. Well, it looks clean. And to me, that's everything. If it's clean, then it's okay. And we met some of the people around here. Friendly. They say that Zambia is Africa's friendliest country. They say. Who says it? I think Zambians say it. Might be true. Very friendly. Really. Very friendly indeed. So, interesting night ahead, I imagine. But I would actually like to settle into the room now, but we can't because the chap in there is actually not fixing the television. What he's doing is he's paying his home DSTV license on the hotel's TV, so he gets it for free, or something like that.
Coming the most unique act in the US of A. I love it. The show-stopping 10th anniversary season of America's Got Talent. Weeknights at 6:30 on Mnet Channel 101 or live stream on DSTV Now. Also available on DSTV Catch-Up.
We had a interesting night, very noisy. The music stopped, I don't know when, very late into the night. In fact, when I woke up this morning, it's now just after 6 o'clock, music was still playing. Slept in the tent, not in the accommodation, because the mosquitoes were trying to carry us off. And we eventually, in the middle of the night, said, no, none of this. We'll go and sleep in the tent. There are crocodiles.
Yeah, but they're not right here.
This is the Liuwa River. Beyond it, the Liuwa Plains and the Liuwa Plains National Park. Unfortunately, this is where our western Zambia trip has to come to an end. We've literally run out of time. Traveling through Zambia takes a lot of time, and although there are sections of tar, your speed is never more than 100, and when it gets gravel, your speed can easily drop down to 20. And we've had a mixture, so it's very difficult to plan. The research I did indicated that I would be able to visit here just for 2 days and make it worthwhile. Turns out it's absolutely not worthwhile. It would take now approximately a 6-hour drive right now to see the first game. The game is scattered, and where it is concentrated is right up in the northern part of the park. And that's how long it'll take us to get there. So, and then we of course have to come back via this crossing and the pond that we crossed yesterday to get back to Mongu to head east towards Kafue, which is our next stop. So the decision is, do we do Kafue? Do we do Liuwa? Now, given the game is scattered, given the environment is very smoky because of the fires everywhere, the light isn't nice. It's not a good time of year, September, to come to Liuwa. The best time is to come is November. The animals are moving, the first rains have fallen, and it's life regenerated, and that's the time to come to Liuwa. So I have a choice, Kafue, Liuwa. Given these conditions, we have decided Kafue.
It's day 6 of my expedition to discover the delights of Zambia. I'm travelling with my daughter Kate, who's doing most of the camera work.
You scared me.
We entered the country at Kasangula, via the pont, crossing the Okavango River, followed the Zambezi as far as the Ngonyo Falls, and are now heading towards Kafue National Park.
Right, we're in Kafue.
Information regarding Kafue has been difficult to come by, so we are heading into the unknown.
Quite a dull morning, although Zambia continues to surprise. The road from Kalabu to Kafue has taken most of the day, a mixture of high-speed tar, extremely slow potholed tar and gravel. And the place is completely different. Everything about it, the colour of the ground, the colour of the earth, the colour of the trees, even the colour of the sky. Kafue looks amazing. A lot of Zambia, at least Western Zambia, has been denuded by fires, and I figured out what's going on. I would say 80%, and that's probably not an exaggeration, of the ground, the landscape through which we've been travelling is black with ash. It's been burnt. Now, mostly it's ash because people flash out the game. They actually poach the game. They kill the animals, and many do it to live. But there's also this industry. This is charcoal, and this is found all over the country, and it's actually a fuel source where local people take trees, cut them, and create charcoal. And often you'll see around the villages, you'll have a village, and all around it, all the trees have been culled and burnt, blackened, and there are no shade trees yet left. And I suppose after a period of time the village dies because there's no shade for miles, there are no trees for miles. I suppose they just move the village, build their huts somewhere else, and then continue the process of deforestation. So it's very damaging. That's the contrast here in Kafue. Obviously that's not the case in this national park. It's lush. It just shows you what nature does when there are not people around to change it. Okay, I'll go. I don't mind. I don't mind. I really don't mind. Okay, so we've arrived at the banks of the Kafue River. We're going to spend the first night outside of the reserve because of the very high park fees, but then we're going to spend 2 nights in the reserve. And I want to check in. This is Roy's campsite. Ningwe is the proper name for this campsite. And I have an elephant stopping me from checking in and setting up my camp.
But I don't mind. Really, I really don't mind.
At last, we found a campsite on, well, it's not the Zambezi River, but it's pretty damn close. So we actually got a beautiful campsite. How's this? Actually, this is quite good. I need to come back very slightly to make it level. Isn't this amazing? We have an incredible sunset across the water, and we have an elephant to keep us company. We've been watching the hippos now for an hour. Campsite set up on the riverbank. This is why we do it. This is it. Everything we do in four-wheel driving and overlanding, at the end of the day, this is the reward. And it's worth every toll, every roadblock, every flat, every, you name it. Day 7 on the banks of the Kafue River.
Amazing morning waking up. We're not actually in the national park, and yet we're actually surrounded by animals. Of course, we had the elephant yesterday and the hippo in the water. The hippo is still in the water, still making lots of noise. Hyena, not far away, we can hear them. And the sun coming up, idyllic setting. Today, we're going to not be spending too much time in the vehicle driving. We've actually had 6 days virtually non-stop driving. So today we're going into the Kafue National Park. We'll be camping in the reserve and we'll be spending 2 nights in the reserve, and it's a slow game drive on the way in. So we're really going to take our time. It's also a great time in the morning now to clean up camp, clean camera equipment, because we don't have a rush, we don't have a mean deadline to meet. So that's what we're doing this morning. And of course, last night, see, every time I go on one of these expeditions and photograph them and make my videos, I look for great sunsets. Who wouldn't? Last night was my very first 4K sunset, and I would say one of the finest sunsets I've seen in many, many a trip. Here it is again.
We've got some time this morning to head into town for some supplies. We're also going to see if we can buy some cell phone data, as we've been unable to do so in any of the towns thus far.
We have been completely out of touch. Our South African and British SIM cards did not work, and neither did our Zambian SIM card work until now. 3 days it took to register the card that we bought. We're now going to try and buy some data. Tariff plans.
We have to choose a bundle, but the lady behind the counter doesn't like the camera.
You know YouTube? YouTube, I'm making a video on YouTube. Yeah, see.
I'm trying to explain myself.
Yeah, we make a movie for our holiday.
I'm not really getting through.
Cheers.
Oh, he seemed to help. That's really quite typical of Zambians. They're always around to help.
Someone that they sent is working. I just got a message.
Okay, so it looks like we have success. 7 days of trying.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Even when you're walking down these streets and these markets, even when you're not holding a camera as I am doing now, you'll be stared at, you'll be watched. It's just because it's a little unusual. They do have, what you got there? African monarch butterfly. Tourists are not common. They're used to them, they do see them. But out the way, Kate, just be careful behind you. Keep your wits about you, because it's a mad rush and everybody's crazy, and you can buy absolutely everything here, from motorbikes to bicycles to, as it turns out, airtime and data. Watch out behind you. But you've got to really be aware of what's going on around you, because it's hectic. Need any bras?
You mean, do I need any really hideous infections? No thanks.
No, it's not like that at all. That's the whole point of this. Actually not like that. I reckon you could get some fantastic fresh fruit, vegetables. It's just the way of shopping is a little bit chaotic. But we bought that bread we bought today.
It's good bread.
I think it's good bread. It's soft and fresh. It's fantastic. It just took a bit of finding. The whole street is a department store. You know, it's like the old traditional high street. Watch out behind you, except more dangerous.
Yeah.
Right after refreshing our supplies, we're back in the Kafue National Park. We're heading north. Now, the main road that travels through Kafue is open to all traffic. You sign in, you sign out, no problem. When you then leave the road, you're then entering the park
proper and they charge you. In our case, they charged us for foreign vehicle, foreigners, and camping. I imagine that the camping site is going to be fairly rudimentary. I can't imagine anything special at all. But we are in Kafue, True Kafue National Park. It'll take us 2 hours to get to the campsite. And we're doing it quite slowly, looking out for animals, lots of fresh signs of elephant and tsetse fly. So inside the car, there he is there. Okay, he'll cling to the windscreen. I just went in. Where is he? Is he in the back?
No, he's in the back.
He's in the back. Okay, the tsetses are an interesting animal. They cling to the car. They are attracted by this shade. They don't like sunlight, they like shade, so they'll often sit in a shady part of the car, under the wing mirror, under the wheel arches, and they'll actually wait until you open the window and then climb inside the car. And it is the reason why this part of Zambia, in fact, most of Zambia that we've travelled through, except for the far west, devoid of cattle, very, very little cattle, and in this area, no cattle at all. And this is why the tsetse fly give the cattle sleeping sickness, and they just you just cannot keep cattle in an area where there is tsetse fly. Kufala campsite, Kafue National Park. It's the closest campsite north of the main road. Right, yes, hope so.
Yeah.
Celebrating end of day 6.
Yeah. Cool.
Cheers.
Sorry, no, you got that wrong. It's
Yeah.
day 7. Must be all these tsetse fly bites making you lose your ability to count or something.
And the reason why I am no longer, I'm spoiled, you see, no longer prepared to just take a cool box on expedition. It has to be a good fridge. Set at -3. Ah, fantastic. I've just been bitten by a tsetse fly, first one that got me today. Got me in the palm of my hand as I was holding the beer like this. And that's very typical. They will tend to bite under the knee or under the arm. They'll go for places like shade. They don't like sunlight. They're endemic to sub-Saharan Africa and have been completely eradicated in Botswana. You might find a few pockets right up in the north of Botswana. Likewise, Zimbabwe. They've all gone. Maybe a few pockets in the northern part of Zimbabwe. Zambia, they're here. But they shouldn't be feared. They shouldn't be something that you should worry about. Oh dear, I'm going to get bitten by these things and they're going to be a menace and I'm going to get sick. That's not the case. Rarely does a bite, very rarely, does a bite actually affect a human. If it does, it's completely curable. And they're not that bad, that often, in that many places. So it's not as if your trip, it's unlikely that your trip is going to be ruined, or even a campsite is going to be ruined because of an overwhelming number of tsetse flies. Generally close to water, there are fewer of them than out in the plains where it's hotter and drier. And when you stop your vehicle, if you stop it in the sunshine, bright sunshine, you will get far fewer tsetse flies around the vehicle than you will if you stop it and open the doors in shade. In very bad areas, if you stop it in shade, you'll actually get lots of them coming straight into the car. Carry some insecticide, do a quick spray inside the car and wait 2 minutes and they'll be gone. They're very susceptible to poison. Poison takes them out extremely quickly. So do that and you'll eradicate them completely from your vehicle. The Zambian banknotes are very interesting, with a common theme of wildlife. Fish eagle, this is the 100 kwacha with the Cape buffalo. The 50, again the fish eagle and leopard. The 20 with looks like a lechwe. The 10, porcupine.
Some of them get very tatty indeed. The 5 with a lion, and lastly the 2 kwacha note with what I think is a roan antelope. That's it.
I can't help compare the Botswana parks with the Zambia parks and what they give you, because they're both very expensive, high tariff just to camp. And generally speaking, in Botswana you get an enclosure to swing a shower and an enclosure, sometimes long drop toilet, sometimes a proper plumbed long drop toilet. But here, and this is not the first time we've experienced it in Zambia, just more. Now, firstly we arrived and we were greeted. And we were greeted by a chap that immediately built us a fire, brought us firewood. And the ablutions are rudimentary, but the interesting thing is that I have hot water and a proper shower all laid on. So the value is much better in terms of the camping facilities. In terms of animals and game, my impression, and this is just an impression, is that it is perhaps more critical in the Zambian parks as to what time of year you visit, because I don't think we're here at the best time of year. The bush around us here is very dead, it's wintry, it hasn't got its new spring leaves yet, and it's a bit sparse. It's not particularly attractive in this part of the reserve. We've seen very few animals today, and I'm not actually particularly hopeful of animals walking through the camp tonight. But in terms of a setting, the rapids, the Kafue rapids are over there, we'll have a look at them just now. I'm very, very impressed. Particularly impressed with the service and friendliness of the Zambian authorities and the Zambian parks people. Really impressed.
Right, we've walked a bit of a walk over rocks to the main river and the rapids, and set back is our campsite, really well hidden in the trees over there. Not much more really to say.
We've just been approached by 2 of the guys that work here and sort out the camp and everything, and they've just charged us another $30, $15 each per person. And I really don't understand it. We were just charged, when we entered the camp, we were charged $63, and it's ridiculous because, I mean, last night we were surrounded by hippos, we heard them coming out the water, it was an amazing atmosphere. Heard hyenas, and that wasn't technically in the park, and we're charged $20 for that, and you're paying a fortune now. And our guests are baboons, which, as many campers probably have experienced, are not the best guests compared to hyenas, hippos and all that kind of thing. So I really don't understand why we're charged a fortune to come into the parks when you could go outside for less than half the price and have a better experience.
When travelling in the African bush, one has to handle a certain amount of risk management, if for want of a better word. And firstly, footwear. One should wear boots, and I know a lot of people don't. They wear sandals, and I believe in a good set of sturdy boots. They will protect mostly against biting insects, scorpions, and if you're unlucky, or lucky, depending on which way you want to look at it, snakes. So a decent pair of boots. I wear these sometimes around the camp. Although around the camp it's equally hazardous on your feet. So I will wear these if I'm having a shower, moving to and from the ablution block and things like that. But I won't wear them, and I especially won't wear them at night. Because the night critters, you won't see them. And of course then there's the thing about mosquitoes. You have to protect yourself against mosquitoes. So there are a number of ways of doing that.
Mosquito prophylactics, malaria prophylactics, that's up to your doctor. It's a subject all on its own. So I'm just going to talk about prevention. We've been using these armbands. They contain a citronella sponge, if you like. You can smell it, and up to now we've only been wearing them at night. And I think they're quite effective. I don't believe they're full protection. They claim, I think, a little more than they actually deliver, but I do think they help. I really do think they help. So we've been wearing them, and an ordinary bug spray. Now this one is called Bugger Off. It is definitely effective, no question about it, but considering how little there is in the can and its cost, I would say it is not good value for money. It's expensive. So, and we've almost run out of it, and I only bought one can, which is not going to be enough for us, so I'm going to have to try and get some in Lusaka, and we'll be in Lusaka in 2 days' time. That's the capital of Zambia, and we will try and get some more. Probably not this brand, South African brand. We'll probably find something like Peaceful Sleep, which I have always used and it's always been effective. And also preventative from mosquito bites. Long trousers. I wear these around the camp in the evening. So when I arrive at camp and after I've had my shower, I put on long trousers, and I will make sure that I spray particularly my socks and my ankles, because that's a big danger area. Under the leg here also. If it's tight against the skin under the leg, that's where mosquitoes get you. So you'll find most bites are actually in the lower section, and you must use a lot of this, particularly on the lower section, and of course the exposed skin. That goes without saying. $95 it cost us to stay here. I consider that a lot of money. And had there been game all over the place, I mean really just an incredible experience, then I might be able to justify it in my mind and want to stay another night and spend that money again. But for me it's just too expensive. If it had been a different experience, I might have wanted to stay. But so instead, we're going to a camp just outside the reserve. One doesn't have to pay the very high park fees, and I know we were there 2 nights ago and it was amazing, and we had animal encounters. So I think the value is a lot better out there. The alternative is to go further north, where we're told there are lots and lots of animals, but again, very high fees, and perhaps we've come at the wrong time of year. That's debatable, but I'm getting that impression from the people that I've spoken to. It would be better in the wet season. So what we're doing today is we're heading back to the Roy's campsite, which is just outside the reserve, and we're going to try and organize a boat, take a boat trip, and experience some of the wildlife that way.
Four-wheel drive.
On our way back to Roy's camp on the river, the drought is all too obvious. We see hardly any game at all, the most common creature being more of those pesky tsetse flies. And back on the river, the elephant is still there. This time, quite close to where we want to set up camp.
We've returned to Hook Bridge Safari Camp. This is actually Roy's camp. Roy's is the other name. Signpost says Roy's camp, and we're back on the river. And we were just saying a few minutes ago, it's been a very quiet day in terms of filming. Not much has happened. We've been on the road, didn't see much game this morning, and we're preparing for our boat trip, which is going to happen now tomorrow morning. And we have a visitor, same elephant that slowed our progress yesterday on the way to the camp. It's a male, lone male. He seems quite happy with people around. He's eating, and if he comes over here, we will go over there. But right now, he looks quite happy with things.
Okay, fella, what's on your mind?
Into that side of the car. Usually get into the other side. Walk around the front.
The important thing here is to let the elephant know that we are not a threat, and we do that by backing away.
I'm a little bit uncomfortable actually with him. He's uncomfortably close for me. He's aware of us, and we're aware of him. And I get the impression that he's very used to people. Okay, get in the car. Where is he?
I don't know.
Okay, he's walking by. Okay. Okay. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's looking away from us. Yeah, he's not aggressive. That would have been a very tight turn. I'm not sure if the car had that turning circle. The Isuzu's turning circle is not the best. Okay. Bit of excitement for the day, don't you think?
These videos are made possible by contributions from Patreons. Join the Patreon family now.